afternoon. My name is Eileen Gary, and I'm the Acting Administrator of the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. Welcome. I would be remiss if I did not begin this ceremony by acknowledging the recent bombings in Manchester, England. This horrific tragedy left many dead and wounded, including children. Our sympathy and prayers go out to the families of the victims. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We will now commence with the presentation of colors. Please rise and remain standing until the colors are retired. I'd like to introduce the Color Guard from Garfield High School's Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, who will present colors. The National Anthem and Pledge of Allegiance will follow. Please remain standing. Please present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we stand at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets re-glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to thank the Garfield High School Marine Corps Junior ROTC for the presentation of colors and Holly Shockey for singing the national anthem. Please be seated. On behalf of the Department of Justice, I want to welcome you to our 2017 observance of National Missing Children's Day. On this day, for this hour, the Department of Justice pauses to reflect on the preciousness of each child's life and to remind ourselves that childhood should be a time of hope and growth and not a time of fear and pain. For far too many children, danger lies in the chance encounter with a stranger at the other end of an internet connection or in chaotic family relationships. As adults, we have a sacred trust to protect our children from those who would exploit or harm them. No effort is too great to find them, when they are taken from us. Today, we are honoring and celebrating law enforcement officers and private citizens who have made extraordinary efforts to find and rescue lost and exploited children. Their dedication and determination to protect children far exceeds the expectations spelled out in their job descriptions. And their efforts have had an impact far beyond the boundaries of their communities and states. Service and compassion are their own rewards, but we at the Department of Justice wish to extend our gratitude for the things that they do every day, both large and small, that make America a safer place for our children. To our awardees, thank you for a job well done. I'd like to welcome and thank all of you for joining us today, especially the members of Congress and their staff, our speakers, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Assistant Attorney General for Operations and Management Maureen Henenberg, John Clark, and Gina De Jesus, and our awardees and poster contest winners. It is now my pleasure to introduce Deputy Assistant Attorney General for Operations and Management Maureen Henenberg from the Office of Justice Programs. Maureen has served in this role since February 2015, advising our Assistant Attorney General on management and operational issues within OJP and overseeing the agency's business offices. Before this position, Maureen served as the Director of OJP's Office of Audit, Assessment, and Management and Deputy Director at the Bureau of Justice Statistics, where she began an impressive career in 1990 as a presidential management intern. Through her work on various federal working groups and task forces, she remains vigilant on issues such as data quality, open government, and detection and prevention of grant fraud. Maureen earned a Master's of Public Administration degree with a concentration in Judicial Administration from American University. She graduated magna cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science with minors in Criminal Justice and Public Administration from the State University of New York. Please join me in welcoming Deputy Assistant Attorney General for Operations and Management, Maureen Henenberg.
Thank you, Eileen. I'm very pleased to be part of today's ceremony, and I'm honored to join Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein as we recognize these extraordinary individuals for their service on behalf of our children. I bring greetings from the Acting Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Justice Programs, Alan Hansen. He regrets that he is unable to be here today and asks that I share his congratulations to our award recipients and his deep appreciation to everyone in this hall for all their good work. I want to thank Eileen and her terrific staff and their partners for bringing us together today. I'd also like to welcome my fellow speakers and recognize our partners at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And most of all, I want to thank all of you, everyone here, for your commitment to finding missing, abducted, and exploited children. We're grateful for all you do and proud to stand beside you. It is my privilege to introduce our next speaker. Rod Rosenstein is relatively new to his post as Deputy Attorney General, but he is certainly no stranger to the Department of Justice. He began work as a trial attorney with the Criminal Division in 1990 and has spent his entire career with this agency. Before becoming Deputy Attorney General, he was the United States Attorney for the District of Maryland for 12 years, where he served on the Attorney General's Advisory Committee and continued to personally litigate cases in the U.S. District Court and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit. Prior to his service as the United States Attorney, he was an Assistant U.S. Attorney and also served in the Office of the Deputy Attorney General. He is a graduate of the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania and Harvard Law School. During his tenure as U.S. Attorney, he worked closely with Maryland's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force program, so his commitment to children is backed by a proven record. There's no question he is someone who will fight for our kids. We are very proud to have him as our 37th Deputy Attorney General. Please welcome Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I was very fortunate to arrive just in time to hear the elementary school choir, to hear Holly Shockey's tremendous rendition of the national anthem, and the Garfield High School ROTC Color Guard. Would you join me in a round of applause for those folks? And I don't see the elementary school choir, but they're on the agenda at the end, so I guarantee I'm going to stick around for that part, and I hope they are still here. When I became U.S. Attorney, I've been with the Justice Department for 27 years. When I became U.S. Attorney 12 years ago, I had two daughters. I still have two daughters. I had two young daughters. At the time, they were 3 years old and 5 years old. And I had to explain to my 3-year-old and 5-year-old daughters, what is it that U.S. attorneys did in terms that a child would understand. And so I explained to them that our job is to protect children. So they were very pleased to hear it. They now understand that's not all we do, but it is the most important thing that we do. And that's why I'm particularly grateful to be here with all of you. I've been supporting this work in my office in Maryland, and I've worked with many of the folks in this room through the past decade and more to do this critically important work. So I'm very grateful to be here today. I want to thank Maureen for her kind introduction, and I want to welcome all of you to the Great Hall of the United States Department of Justice. I'm very grateful to be here to recognize these extraordinary honorees. I had the privilege to meet most of them back behind stage before we came out here today, and it's a very impressive group. I want to thank the leadership and staff of the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, who organize this event every year. They've done an extraordinary and outstanding job again this year, and I'm grateful for all they do every day to keep all of our children safe. I want to welcome my fellow speakers, Gina DeJesus and John Clark. And Gina in particular, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today, to tell your incredible story. It's so important for us here in the department to understand the impact that this work has on people's lives, because it helps to motivate us and keep us going through those difficult times. It's a story of remarkable courage in the face of unimaginable odds, and we're very honored to have you here to share it with us today. I also want to thank John Clark and our friends at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The Department of Justice and the National Center have enjoyed a long-standing partnership that has brought tremendous benefits in child and community safety. The cyber tip line manned by the center staff has allowed citizens and internet service providers to send law enforcement agencies millions of reports of online enticement. And its 24-hour hotline fields tens of thousands of calls each year from families and concerned citizens sharing information about missing and exploited children. Countless children have been protected from harm thanks to the National Center's resources, and our kids are safer because of their work. And I have my own stories that I can tell you. The most rewarding aspects of my work as a prosecutor are the cases where we actually have saved kids because partners like you who are available to help us track down, to follow these leads online and recognize we're not just dealing with a case, we're dealing with vulnerable kids who are out there who need to be identified and saved and put back on the right path. I'm honored to be here to recognize these outstanding individuals and their teams for their efforts to rescue missing and exploited children and to bring perpetrators to justice. Their achievements and the stories behind them remind us that it takes a special kind of person to do the type of work that they do. Perseverance and ingenuity, vigilance and fortitude, these are the qualities they possess in abundance. And those same qualities animate the work of everybody in the hall with us today and people throughout this building. Detective Eric Chernus showed these traits when he investigated 15 child pornography cases, winning guilty pleas from 4 offenders. Special Agent Catherine Gamble displayed them as well, when she helped to lead an international operation that rescued 22 children in 9 countries. And the Alabama and Georgia Internet Crime Against Children Task Forces applied their own savvy and resourcefulness to Operation Southern Impact, which yielded 29 arrests for possession and distribution of child pornography. T.J. Davis demonstrated his own heroism when he identified an abducted 13-year-old girl and alerted authorities, saving her from a predator and helping to preserve potential evidence in the process. These exceptional men and women are shining examples of the courage and compassion we need today. They exemplify what it means to be a dedicated public servant and a concerned citizen. Because of their diligence, their alertness, their deeply felt commitment to the most vulnerable among us, children are safer and our communities are healthier and more vibrant places. As a federal prosecutor, I understand how very important it is to have smart, well-trained, and devoted people handling these cases. Cases involving missing children and child exploitation are among the most difficult and wrenching for us personally. They reveal the worst of human nature. You need people who can withstand the powerful emotional impact. And I saw this incredible resilience in the men and women I worked with during my time as U.S. Attorney, and they have my highest respect and esteem. I'm proud to be here to help manage the Department of Justice. It's an agency that supports the excellent work of these officers and of many other law enforcement professionals and advocates in this room and throughout the country. I'm going to talk a bit about our Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force program, which is led by OJJDP, and I apologize for all the initials. We do that a lot around here. I worked with some exceptional investigators on our own task force in Maryland. We call it the ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children, and I know there are many more like them across the country. More than 4,500 federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement and prosecutorial agencies nationwide are combating child exploitation under the ICAC task force. Task force investigations have led to arrests of more than 73,000 suspects in sexual exploitation of children. Just last year alone, 8,800 suspects. Task force personnel also have given more than 14,000 presentations on internet safety over the last year and supported almost 3,000 regional law enforcement trainings, and it's so critical that we get that training to our kids and to their parents who may not understand the dangers that children face on the internet and using modern technology. I'm also proud of our involvement in the Amber Alert program, another of the many fruits of our partnership with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It includes a strong network of law enforcement partners, transportation officials, and state coordinators, and an ever-expanding secondary distribution system through which internet providers and wireless carriers send alerts. That Amber Alert program has helped us to recover more than 870 abducted children. The Justice Department is also collaborating with the Attorney General of Mexico on developing and expanding Mexico's Amber Alert system, which has already resulted in the rescue of hundreds of Mexican children. We continue to strive to make this vital public safety tool even more effective because we know there's always room for improvement. Last year, an 11-year-old girl named Ashlyn Mike was abducted and murdered on a Navajo Indian reservation. Despite all that we have done over the years to strengthen the Amber Alert system, Ashlyn's case exposed significant gaps in the service. Eileen was on Capitol Hill earlier this month to meet with the Senate Indian Affairs Committee and to discuss our efforts to improve the way the system operates in Indian country. We're committed to closing the gaps exposed by Ashlyn's death. Her family has honored us with their presence today, and we pledge to them that we will honor Ashlyn's memory by working harder than ever to prevent this from happening to another child. We also take the opportunity today to remember others who've gone missing, such as Eaton Pates and Jacob Wetterland, whose families each received some measure of justice recently after decades of waiting in agony. We continue to mourn the loss of Eaton and Jacob, even though we are heartened by the exceptional work of the investigators who worked tirelessly to solve those cases over many years. Their work has been just amazing. We are in awe of everything that each of you has done, and we will continue to support you as you carry on this vital work. We're fortunate to have an Attorney General whose top priority is the safety of American citizens, our children foremost among them. To carry out the President's executive order on reducing violent crime, the Attorney General has created a national task force to determine how we can make our neighborhoods safer. That task force is meeting with crime fighters and experts across the country, and they're trying to recommend ways the federal government can combat violent crime and strengthen relationships with local, state, and tribal law enforcement partners, just as we've done through the ICAC program. When the Attorney General talks about the urgent task of reducing violent crime in our country, he's thinking first of the young people. He believes we have a responsibility to make sure that all children can live and thrive free from the threat of harm, free to pursue their dreams. And that is why the Department of Justice is honored to be your partner, and that's why we will never let up in the fight to protect our children. So I want to thank you for taking on this important work. and for sticking with it. We have a lot more to do, and I look forward to working with all of you to protect our children. Before I conclude, I want to just take a moment to remember the children who are still missing and the parents and families still waiting and hoping for them to return. On Missing Children's Day, we pray for their safe return, and we pledge to work tirelessly to make the list of missing and exploited children shorter next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Attorney General. So now it's time for the awards. First one is our Attorney General's Special Commendation. The Attorney General's Special Commendation recognizes the extraordinary efforts of an Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, an ICAC affiliate agency, or an individual assigned to an ICAC task force or affiliate agency for making a significant investigative or program contribution to the ICAC Task Force program. In early November 2016, the Alabama ICAC Task Force and the Georgia ICAC Task Force launched a coordinated investigation of people suspected of possessing and distributing child pornography and sexually exploiting children using the internet. In Alabama, 34 federal, state, and local criminal justice agencies participated in the operation. In Georgia, the operation was a coordinated effort among 40 federal, state, and local criminal justice agencies. Called Operation Southern Impact, the investigation involved several months of planning and culminated in 2 days of search warrant executions and arrests in Alabama and Georgia. Across the two jurisdictions, a total of 54 search warrants were executed and more than 25 suspects were arrested and charged with various crimes related to the sexual exploitation of children. Over the course of the operation, more than 700 digital devices were seized. As evidence, additional charges are indeed expected as the images and data on the seized devices are analyzed. For those extraordinary efforts and outstanding work, the Alabama and Georgia Internet Crimes Against Children Task Forces have received the Attorney General's Special Commendation. Accepting the award on behalf of the Alabama ICAC is Brooke Walker, Task Force Commander. Accepting the award on behalf of the Georgia ICAC is Deborah Garner, Task Force Commander. Congratulations. Please join us on the stage. Congratulations again to the Alabama and Georgia Internet Crimes Against Children Task Forces. They have a large contingent with them here today. At this time, could I just ask them to stand and be recognized? I want to thank you all once more for your hard work, for your passion, your unwavering commitment to the noble cause. I urge you to keep up the good work. Please stand and be recognized. Our next award is the Missing Children's Law Enforcement Award. This award recognizes the extraordinary efforts of a law enforcement officer who has made a significant investigative or program contribution to the safety of children. This year's award goes to Special Agent Catherine Gamble from Homeland Security's Investigations Nogales in Rio Rico, Arizona. In March 2015, Special Agent Catherine Gamble initiated a global investigation targeting those who use the online chat service Kik to sexually exploit minors or manufacture and distribute child pornography. During her investigation called Operation Kick Crackdown, Special Agent Gamble discovered numerous groups using the online chat service to trade child pornography images and videos. She also observed chat group conversations between users discussing hands-on sexual abuse of their daughters, nieces, etc., and predators who drug children before sexually abusing them. Since launching the operation, Special Agent Gamble has gathered evidence to generate cases which she sent to the respective Homeland Security investigations offices around the country. Her activities have resulted in the execution of 60 search warrants and arrest warrants, identification of 30 child victims, many as young as 1 year old, and the rescue of 22 child victims from ongoing sexual abuse. Of the individuals arrested, 17 were registered sex offenders or had prior arrest for crimes related to the sexual exploitation of children. To date, 5 individuals in the United States have been prosecuted and sentenced to prison terms ranging from 27 to 30 years on charges of production and distribution of child pornography and child sexual abuse. In addition, a number of targets were identified outside of the United States, resulting in coordinated investigations with Homeland Security investigations attaché offices around the world and foreign law enforcement agencies. Arrests have been made in Australia, Canada, France, the Netherlands, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. And additional enforcement action is pending in Ireland, Saudi Arabia, and Sweden. Excellent work, Special Agent Gamble. Please join us on stage. Representatives from Homeland Security Investigations are here with us today, and again, I would like them to stand, please, and be recognized. Next, we have our Missing Children Citizens Award. This award recognizes the extraordinary efforts of private citizens for their unselfish acts to safely recover missing or abducted children. This award goes to Mr. Tommy T.J. Davis, a bus driver for City Utilities in Springfield, Missouri. In December 2016, legal guardians to a 13-year-old girl with autism reported her missing in Springfield, Missouri. More than 50 officers from the Springfield Police Department, Missouri Highway Patrol, and Greene County Sheriff's Office conducted a community-wide search. Springfield Police asked the public to be on the lookout for a young girl in a bright red coat with a hood. The next morning, Tommy T.J. Davis, a bus driver for City Utilities who had been alerted to the missing girl, checked the streets and side streets as he drove his route. He noticed an older man in a wheelchair with a teenage girl in a red coat sitting in his lap. Mr. Davis immediately pulled his bus into a nearby parking lot and reported his sighting to a dispatcher. The man approached the bus, and Mr. Davis recognized him as a regular rider. The man told Mr. Davis that the girl needed help, then quickly left the scene. Mr. Davis was alarmed and called for the man to stop. He did not pursue the man because the victim was his first priority. While he waited for police to arrive, Mr. Davis had the girl sit in a seat by herself to preserve any evidence on her clothes in case a crime had been committed. Mr. Davis described the suspect to police and told them he had never seen the girl with the man in the past. Police arrested the man a short while later and charged him with first-degree child kidnapping and enticement of a child. The suspect is currently being held on a $500,000 bond. The investigation is ongoing and additional charges may be filed. Congratulations, Mr. Davis. Thank you for your efforts. Please join us on stage. Our next award is the Missing Children's Child Protection Award, which recognizes the extraordinary efforts of a law enforcement officer who has made a significant investigative or program contribution to protecting children from abuse or victimization. This award goes to Forensic Detective Eric Chernes of the Moscow Police Department in Moscow, Idaho. Detective Chernes is also a member of the Idaho ICAC Task Force. Forensic Detective Eric Chernes' sole focus as an investigator for the Moscow, Idaho Police Department is investigating predators who possess and distribute child pornography and to stop the victimization of children. As a member of the Idaho ICAC Task Force and a certified computer forensics examiner, Detective Chernes has become a highly sought-after resource for agencies in northern Idaho and eastern Washington. During 2016, Detective Chernes investigated 15 cases of possession or distribution of child pornography that resulted in charges being filed. Of those 15 cases, 11 originated outside the jurisdiction of the Moscow Police Department. 5 cities and counties in eastern Washington and Idaho and the Idaho Office of the Attorney General contacted Detective Chernes for assistance. In addition to being the case agent, he also conducted all computer and cell phone forensic examinations associated with these child pornography cases. The 15 cases noted above have resulted in the examination of 40 electronic devices and the recovery of more than 1 million child pornography images and videos. 1 million. Detective Chernes also provides presentations to public schools, PTA groups, and civic groups to educate children, parents, and educators about child enticement via the internet and online chat rooms. Outstanding work, Detective. Please join us on stage. Finally, maybe my favorite. Every year, OJJDP hosts a national poster contest among 5th grade students to raise awareness about missing children. The contest is designed to engage communities in discussions about preventing and intervening in child abduction. This is the 18th year that OJJDP has conducted this national competition. For this year's poster contest, we received submissions from all across the country, including the Aviano Air Base in Italy. Posters were designed to illustrate the theme, bringing our missing children home. We had some truly excellent entries this year, and selecting a winner was hard work. The winner of this year's poster contest is my new friend, Audrey Link, from Resurrection Catholic School in Lakeland, Florida. We are so pleased that Audrey and her family could be with us today. Here's what Audrey had to say when asked to describe herself. I'm an only child and have 2 wonderful parents, and we all share a talent in tennis. I attend Resurrection Catholic School, and I'm in the 5th grade, almost middle school. Whenever I get free time, I'm either doing mathletics And that's a real thing. You can look it up. I did. Whenever I get free time, I'm either doing mathletics on the computer or reading Harry Potter and Lemony Snicket. I enjoy myself very much, and I'm happy for the life I was given. That's pretty remarkable for a fifth grader. In describing her poster, this is what Audrey said. My poster shows a man and a woman who seem to be randomly holding out their arms, but their shadow shows a small family with one mom, one dad, and one daughter. As you look at the picture, you should think of them once having a memory with a child, but now their child is missing. Will you join me in recognizing this year's poster contest winner, Audrey Link? Today, let me do this first. All right. Audrey is joined by her fifth grade teacher, Cynthia Stanford, Clearinghouse Representative Brendy Hawkins of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the winner of last year's poster contest, also my new best friend, Michael Wu, whose artwork inspired the posters you see displayed around the department today. Michael is also receiving a copy of his winning poster from last year to take home with him. So, here is Audrey, and a certificate, and a safety bond. So we'll let Audrey's family go. Yes, please. You can see why those two guys are my new best friends. Absolutely delightful. And a message that not all hope is lost. They are both remarkable young people. Our next speaker is a friend and partner to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. John Clark is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. He spent 28 years with the U.S. Marshals Service, the last 6 as its director. He is a longtime child advocate who served for many years on the National Center's Board of Directors before his appointment in November 2015. The National Center is a true public-private partnership and was created to build a coordinated national response to missing and sexually exploited children, establish a missing children hotline, and serve as a national clearinghouse for information and resources related to missing and exploited children. We've come a long way since 1983. Thanks to the National Center, we have many more tools and resources to respond to child abductions and to bring children home safely. And I just want to say that I hope John will explain in his remarks why Maureen and I and my staff here are all wearing one sock and one sock only. So for those of you that are scratching your head, I think John's going to explain to you why we do what we do. So, John Clark.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's always nice to be back here in the Great Hall at a place I truly love. I'm pleased to share the stage with our Deputy Attorney General, and I trust the Marshals Protection Detail is doing. If not, let me know. Eileen and Maureen and others in the department, thank you for having us here. This is a special day for us as well. To our award recipients, congratulations to you. I love to hear stories of what I call boots on the ground, people who out there making a difference every day to find and protect children. And to Audrey, mathletics is probably the best thing going. I should have had that when I was in school. So in 1983, President Ronald Reagan designated May 25th as the National Missing Children's Day. And he picked that day to mark the disappearance of 6-year-old Eitan Patz, whose May 25th, 1979 abduction helped launch the nation's missing children movement. And as we commemorate National Missing Children's Day today, it's poignant that just a few weeks ago, 38 years after Eitan was abducted while walking to his school in New York, his family got justice in their devastating loss. On April 17th, Pedro Hernandez was sentenced to life in prison for kidnapping and murdering Eitan. Eitan's legacy is profound. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children was created out of outrage over Eitan's abduction and that of other children around that time, including 6-year-old Adam Walsh, who was abducted from a Florida shopping mall. Now, 33 years after opening our doors and forging strong partnerships with the Department of Justice, we've helped bring home more than 237,000 children. Eitan's case also underscores a promise we make to all families of missing children that we'll never stop looking for your child and seeking justice for those who would harm them. And to demonstrate our resolve, we recently mounted a porch light inside our headquarters in Alexandria. And we're keeping that light on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until all missing children come home. We dedicated that porch light in memory of 11-year-old Jacob Wetterling. His family recently received justice too, nearly 27 years after he was abducted at gunpoint while riding his bicycle one evening. Jacob and Eitan's stories haunt us, but more children are coming home safely today than ever before in our history. And just like Gina DeJesus, who you'll hear from today, we're seeing more long-term missing children come home. In January, Kamaya Mobley was found alive after 18 years, and she was abducted from a Florida hospital by a woman posing as a nurse. And 3 days later, 2 Rhode Island sisters, Kelly and Kimberly Yates, were found safe and living in the Houston area 30 years after they were abducted. So it's heartening to see how far we've come in 33 years, but we still have a long way to go. Too many of our nation's children are running away, often running away from bad situations at home. And these children are missing too, and put themselves at great risk out there on their own. And yet they're not often treated with the same urgency or concern as other missing children. So we applaud the Washington Metropolitan Police Department for its recent decision to publicize all missing children cases. And people were so startled by the sheer volume that they believed erroneously that African American teenage girls were being targeted in large numbers by sex traffickers. In fact, the numbers have been going down, and we're thankful for that. But the increased awareness have brought about changes. The mayor created a task force, and more resources have been devoted to finding missing children. Now they're finding children quicker, and they're focusing their more attention on why they're missing. So it was mentioned a moment ago about the Rock One Sock campaign and why some, and I've spotted some here in the audience and some on stage who are, in fact, rocking one sock. And what is that? So our campaign began last year. You may recall, those who were here, that if you ever had the sensation that something is missing, and you were to put on just one sock, for example, and leave one off, and go around, walk around for the day, you would have the sensation that something is missing. and thus began a campaign to try to bring awareness to this whole movement when we think about this month being Missing Children's Day. I too am rocking one sock and am demonstrating now as I did last year. My staff is trying to get me to wear the more colorful socks, and I'm almost there, so I'm working on that. So I believe we have a video that gives a little further explanation about what this public service announcement is.
Do you have socks with no match?
Last year you rocked one sock, inspiring a movement for the thousands of children missing in America to make sure they're never forgotten.
Let's do it again.
Where?
Challenge your friends to rock one sock this May to show your support for missing kids.
Share.
Tweet and post.
Care. Spread the word. We'll never stop searching, and neither should you.
We've had remarkable results with that campaign from police departments across the country, boys and girls clubs, scouting organization, schools, even pets, rocking one sock and raising awareness. So if you have a chance, we're doing it this month, you have a chance to rock one sock or get your community or your school or your circle of friends involved, and it's real easy to do, and it sends a great message that we don't give up on missing children. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, John. Our next speaker is Gina De Jesus, a survivor and an advocate. On April 2nd, 2004, 14-year-old Gina De Jesus disappeared after the father of one of her friends offered her a ride while she was walking home from school and abducted her. He took Gina to a house in a rundown neighborhood in Cleveland, Ohio, where he held her and two other teenagers, Amanda Berry and Michelle Knight, prisoner in the basement. For the next 9 years, he repeatedly beat and raped the three women. Until on May 6, 2013, Berry escaped with her 6-year-old daughter and contacted the police. Responding officers rescued Knight and De Jesus and arrested their abductor a few hours later. Gina's life is a triumph over pain and the worst possible adversity. It is my honor to welcome Gina.
It's hard to believe it's been 4 years since the day when Amanda Berry had her daring escape and told police there were two young women being held inside the house on Seymour Avenue in Cleveland, and one of them was me. I'm shy, I've always been shy. I covered my face when I was finally let out that house that had been my prisoner for 9 years. I was finally free. I hid inside my family's house for a month to avoid the crash of people outside, the reporters, the neighbors, the curious who wanted to take my pictures. It's very hard for me to stand up here today in front of you, in front of cameras, but I want to tell you something very important. Please be aware of your surrounding, pay attention. If something doesn't look right, ask questions. Don't be afraid to get involved. The three of us was locked in that house, sexually abused for nearly a decade. We hid in plain sight. When I was taken by him, I didn't use his name. I was only 14 years old. In the 7th grade, I was just a child. When I was free on May 6, year 2013, I was just 23. I was an adult. The world was a very different place to me during my captivity. I forgot how to speak Spanish. Amanda and Michelle Knight only knew English. I didn't get to go to high school or the prom. I had to learn how to do normal things, hang out with friends, and drive a car. What didn't change was my family's love for me. They never stopped looking for me. They never gave up. That I'd be found one day. Every year on the day I was taken, my family held a visual and reporters covered the story on television that would keep hope alive for me. There was a television in my room, and once a year I got to see my family, except for one year my TV was broken. Throughout our ordeal, we tried to not think about what was happening to us. It was the only way we survived. It didn't really hit me until I was taken to the hospital. I had to talk about what happened over these 9 years in great detail to people I didn't know. I started crying and realized, wow, that was my life for 9 years. Amanda finally told her daughter, Jocelyn, who was born in captivity, my real name. Jocelyn repeated it that was my first time I had been called by my name for 9 years. A lot of people have heard the story or read our book, but there are many other children missing for a long time, like us, who never made the news. The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children say that in the last 5 years, 444 missing children were recovered, and after 5 years, 204 were recovered after 10 years, and 56 were recovered after 20 years. I have no doubt there are children out there right now being held against their will. At first, the police told my parents I probably ran away. They said she was at that age. She was probably with her boyfriend. They soon realized I was abducted, but so what if I was a runaway? They're still missing too. Bad things can and do happen to children who run away. What if that was your child? Today, many children are found through social media. I post photos of missing children on my Facebook page. My family and I go to visuals for other families with missing children. We pass out flyers, stop cars. I even flag down a few police officers. At first I was really angry that no one ever noticed anything was strange at the house on Seymour Avenue, not even people who came into the house. But now I understand. People have jobs, people busy lives. They're tired, they don't They don't want to get involved in other people's lives. I'm asking people to be more aware. I'm doing really well. I'm making up for lost time. I got my driver's license. My cousin took me to prom. I got my high school let me walk the stage and get my honor degree. I'm so grateful that my mom got to see me again. Now she's going blind. So please never stop searching. Don't assume anything. You can help another child, another family have a happy ending.
Wow. Gina, thank you. And I can promise you there's not a person in this room that will stop searching, that will stop looking. Thank you very much. I know that was really hard to do, and I thank you for sharing those words with us. We won't assume anything. We will never stop searching. We never know when we can help another child, another family have a happy ending. So thank you again. We have a lot to learn from your experience, your courage, and your strength. So I'd like to recognize the efforts of a number of individuals and organizations that have contributed so much to child protection and worked so hard to make today's ceremony a reality. First, a special thank you to West Safety Services, who contributes the critical infrastructure needed to make the secondary distribution of Amber Alerts possible. We are deeply grateful for their continued support and contributions to our Amber Alert program. I'd like to also recognize the members of the Federal Agency Task Force on Missing and Exploited Children, which was formally established by the Department of Justice on Missing Children's Day in 1995. Since that time, the task force has been a significant influence and leader in improving the safety of children through the development, delivery, and coordination of services and resources on the national level. I'd like to acknowledge the staff and board members of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, staff from the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, our National Poster Contest judges, representatives from the National Children's Alliance, the National Children's Advocacy Center, the Executive Office for United States Attorneys, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, our Native American attendees, Fox Valley Technical College, and members of the National Strategy Working Group. In particular, I would like to thank the Deputy Attorney General for taking time out of his busy schedule to be with us today and helping to make this ceremony a success. I also want to thank Deputy Assistant Attorney General Maureen Henenberg for her participation. I also want to thank our other honored speakers. Finally, a special thanks to the staff of OJJDP and their family members who are in attendance today, without whose support and dedication this event would not be possible. Before we close out the ceremony, I encourage everyone to support the National Center's efforts and rock one sock throughout the rest of this month in recognition of missing children and their families. I'm rocking one sock today, as are many of my staff. I even presented a special pair of socks to Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein. Small gestures like this can go a long way in raising awareness about the issue of missing children. So join us. This is a dark picture, but this is my staff, and it's hard to see, but we are all rocking one sock. I expect everyone next year to be here with one sock and one sock only. Bring two, we'll give one away. This brings to close our 2017 commemoration of Missing Children's Day. Thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you all again next year. Thank you.